So I got, I think, 7 examples here today. What changes today is that, so I assume this lesson is predicated on the assumption that you're okay to hear. That's not true for everybody. So if you are, I got to turn off my Spotify. I can just barely hear it, and it's enough to be annoying. If you're doing great on everything so far, then this is just the next logical step. If you're feeling a little lost on things to this point, then you're just a little bit behind. Make sure you get that fixed like today or tomorrow so that this doesn't get away from us, okay? So my assumption right now is that you can solve all types of one-step equations, all types of those two-steppers, and all equations that have variables on both sides like we've been working on. Simple. One-step, two-step, three-step. So today what changes is these equations are not ready to solve. And so here's our first example. And just be prepared that some of the answers today, some of the answers in the notes, I actually didn't work them out. So they might come out as fractions. Some of them I know what they are, but some of them I just kind of changed numbers and messed around. So if we get fractions, it's all good. Here goes. You notice anything?
There's two X's on the right side.
Yeah, man, this is such pressure for me. This is a big day for me. I put this all on myself. I do not want to let you down today. What you want to do is first look at each side of the problem like it's its own math problem and clean it up as much as you can. So for example, and don't do what I'm about to do because I'm about to make a mess. If all you looked at was the left side of the equal sign, just locally, what could you simplify over there on the left? Nothing. Why can you not put 4 and minus 4x together? Because one of them has an x and one of them doesn't, and they're not like terms. I cannot combine those. Therefore, I would say the left side of the problem is already done. So it's like, Mr. Aaron, what are you talking about? Simplify. Like, I can't simplify that. Well, let's look at the other side of the equal sign. It's not, don't think of it as an equation right now that we have to solve. Think of it as 2 separate math problems that we have to simplify. What do you notice over on the right-hand side? I notice like terms. You do too. So if we just focus on the right-hand side, we're going to take this term and this term, and we're going to combine them together. We're not going to do anything silly like add 8x or subtract 5x because we're not moving them across the equal sign. We're just going to do this like we did back in the old pre-algebra days, just combining terms. So here it goes. I'm going to copy down the left side because I couldn't do anything with it in the first place. And then on the right side, you see those 2 red boxes. Put them together. What do you get? Negative 3x. And now you should be able to look at this equation and say, hey, this looks just like what we did last week. And you're correct. So this is our first example of a perhaps longer than 3-step equation, depending on the choices that we make. 1 step was to clean it up a little bit. And now we can actually do what we should now know how to do. Take a look at the left side. Can we simplify? How about the right side? Then we're ready. Now we can solve the equation. So if I were to ask Josh, what do you want to do? He might say, I want to add 4x. You know, I might ask Justice and she'd say, no, I feel like adding 2. I might ask LJ and he'll say, I'm feeling minus 4. We're all correct. We can do anything we want at this point in time. Which one would your picky teacher do? I would add 4x because negative 4x is smaller than negative 3x. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. It's my choice. I'm going to cancel out those 4x's and I'm going to bring my next line down. So by the way, we are now back into familiar territory. Nothing in the next 30 seconds is new. This is old hat. 4 comes down, equals comes down. What is negative 3x plus 4x? 1x. I'm just going to call it x. So I don't do something silly like divide by 1 at the end. Minus 2. What's the last step? Add 2. because we're trying to get rid of a -2. Bring down the x, bring down the equals, 4 + 2. Done. Got it? Any questions on that? Next one. If you take one thing out of today's lesson, let it be this: we simplify before we solve. So I'm going to keep vandalizing. Here it goes. If we look only at the left side, is there math to do? Right there on the left side, is there math to do? Then we will do it, and we do it locally. None of this +16 garbage. That's for when they're on both sides of the equals. This is just 5th grade number math. Very simply put, what is -16 + 2? Therefore, my left side says -7x - 14. And we can now look at the left side and say, good to go. Now let's head over to the right side. I'll put like well, here, I'll vandalize some more. Is there math to do?
Yeah.
What is it?
3 × 1 - 5x.
Yeah, what's that word? It starts with a D that we use. It's when we have to multiply something into parentheses, there's a name for that. Nope. It looks like this. Perfect answer. This is called distribution. So when the 3 is like, I want to multiply by you guys, I got to distribute. That's what he's doing. He says, I'm going to distribute. So what is 3 times 1, the first arrow? And what is 3 times -5x?
-15x.
Bless you. And there we did it. If you look at the left side, it's done. Look at the right side, it's done. And now we're right back to what we did last week. What do we want to do to both sides now?
Variable.
Do you want to add 7x or add 15x?
Add it.
I agree, because it's smaller. What's my entire next line going to say?
Negative. Oh, yeah, that's it. 8x, yeah, -14 equals -3.
Good. Keith? Now what?
You add.
You sure do. These steps, you ought to feel almost like you're becoming like on autopilot for these last few steps, which is why we're going to stop showing as much work here in the near future. So it just becomes a thing. And then we divide by 8. And what realization do we come to here? It's going to be a fraction, right? You don't need a calculator to tell you that 17 can't divide by 8. So don't type it in, or you're going to give me some ghetto decimal, right? We're just going to reduce it. 17 and 8 cannot be reduced. Therefore, the answer is 17/8. Perfect. Just like that. Let's do one more, and then we'll take a quick, like 1 or 2 minute brain break, and then we'll finish off the notes. Remember, we do not solve this equation. We clean it up first. So if you're thinking of, I want to quote unquote, get rid of somebody, my lesson is failing you. We're not going to add 4 to both sides. We're not doing any of that nonsense. We are isolated on the left-hand side. It's over here, the part that I'm not scribbling out. What math can we / do we have to do? Distribution. Good. So I'm going to take that -3 and I'm going to multiply it in like this. And what am I going to get? So I'm just going to put -3 in. I like that. It's cleaner. Tell me about the right side.
Same distribution on the other side.
Right. What are we going to distribute? It's not a 5. It is, however, a -5. Good. So this -5 says I'm going in like this. What about that -4? Copy it down, right? It's not in this. It's not part of this discussion. So first thing I'm going to do is just bring the equals down and bring the -4 down so I don't do anything stupid, like add those -4 and -5 together. You're done if you do that. You can't do that. Now, what is -5 times m?
-5m.
And what's -5 times -3?
Positive.
On the left-hand side, over there, what math can we do? Nothing. On the right-hand side, what math can we do?
-4 and 15.
Then I will combine my like terms. We are not ready to solve the equation yet. We still have terms that need to be put together. So I will color code them. I'll put little circles around them for you. Just add those together. Simple pimple, 4th grade. What's -4 plus 15? Positive 11 all day long. So now the equation is finally in a state where I can look at it and say, you know what? I can solve you now. We haven't been able to say that because there's a bunch of junk laying all over the place, parentheses and like terms, but now green light, ready to go. This will turn out to be our first 5-step equation. It took 1 step to distribute. It took another step to combine those red circled terms. And now you should recognize we still have 3 steps to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do we want to do to both sides here?
Variable.
It's time to get these m's together. It's just a matter of preference. Do we want to add the 3m or add the 5? Add the 5m because it's smaller. Yeah. So let's do it. And we're left with what? What will my next whole line say?
Positive 30m. 11.
3 steps down, 2 to go.
Positive.
Add 3 to both sides. Next line. Next line. Next line. Josh. 2m equals 14. Now I'm ready to entertain this conversation about what we're doing. And yes, now it's time to divide by 2 on both sides. And look, this one came out all warm and fluffy. What a pretty little answer, 7. So there you go. Congratulations, your first 5-step equation. 5 is usually about as long as we go until after this first quiz. When we get to equations that have fractions, those can sometimes take 6 or 7. But these, I don't see a way to make a problem longer than 5 steps. So we're going to take a short break. I'll give you a minute or two, get up, close your eyes, whatever, and then we'll resume this so you can refresh your brain. And we're back. Okay, so next problem. That's 3 examples down, 4 to go. Hopefully you recharged your brain. Who knows what the big theme of today's lesson is? Who can tell me right now what to... Not necessarily. Today we are not jumping in, right? Today, we are going to walk out of this class with the knowledge that equations oftentimes are not ready for us to solve them. We understand that there's work to do before we can start saying things like, let's add 5x to both sides and let's subtract 10. We have to look at each side of the equal sign as its own math problem first. So let's begin on the left side. Right, there, you got the equal sign and it breaks the problem in half, left, right. On the left side, what do we have to do? Distribute twice. So there's a 4 that's going to distribute like this, and then there's a 5 that's going to distribute like this. Let's tackle both of those right now. What are the yellow answers going to be?
4y and then -16.
And how about the red answers?
20, no, 10
Plus
and
10y.
plus 5.
Good. Now, let's head over to the right side and see what we understand that the left side is not done, but that's okay. Let's go mook around on the right side for a little while. What do you see on the right side? I see a boatload of like terms, right? You see it too. So I see this pair of y's that can just go together. How many y's will we get? 10. But I also see these regular numbers. And what's 4 minus 6? -2. And then I'm going to bring down my equal sign. And I'm going to say that is a much nicer looking version of the equation, but it's not nice enough. Why?
The left variables on the left side. We still have right to.
See,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to try this in Spanish. Tenemos que combinar las termas iguales en la izquierda.
Yes.
You guys see that, right? There's like terms on the left, and we have to put them together. So once again, like second verse, same as the first. I see some y's. Put them together. What do you get? And then I see some regular junky numbers. What's -16 plus 5?
-5. Oh, whoa, -11. Whoa.
And here we are again. After 2 steps, we've arrived at the point where we've now earned the right to actually do the problem. And we're down to the crossroads where, you know, you each might pick different things. I know what I would do. What do you guys want to do to both sides?
Minus.
Yeah, 10y is the smaller, so I'm going to subtract it from both sides. How many y's do we get? Keep reading it to me. What's the rest of it?
11.
Perfecto. Now what? Add 11. Next line, what does it say?
4y equals 9.
Perfect. And finally, to finish the job, what do we do? What are we going to get? Yep. Just a fraction. Look at you doing 5-step equations like it's nothing. If I'm any good at this job, if you and I have any sort of good relationship as a teacher and a student, you will leave this room today with one key piece of knowledge, and it is I will simplify before I solve. I will distribute. I will combine like terms. I will not even entertain the idea of solving the equation until it looks like what we did last week. Letter number equals letter number, then we're good to go. Next one. By the way, if this makes you feel any better, I have just called an audible, and I'm not going to ask you to do any homework tonight at all, since I've eaten up your entire class. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish these last 3 examples. If you have any questions, we can go over them. And then tomorrow, I'm going to give you a full class period, like the full 48, 50 minutes, whatever, just to work. Are we clear?
The assignment. Today.
The assignment that I have assigned that I kind of wanted you to go work on tonight, I'm just going to postpone it. I'm going to pull it back off of Delta Math, and I'll reassign it tomorrow morning so that you can just feel conscience guilt-free about it. Okay. I'm doing that just as a courtesy since I'm gobbling up your entire period with my mouth. Good. If you are behind If your snapshot was dog water, if you feel like you don't know how to do a thing or two or three, then maybe you should say you have homework. Like you're going to take on that responsibility and say, I'm going to do a little work tonight because I'm a little behind. So you can wear that if it fits. Did you just curse at my equation? Come on, dude.
And the other one was bigger.
Yep.
Still.
So let's talk sides. What are we going to do on the left side? Right. I put this in here just so we could see sometimes how hilariously obvious it is that, hey, that side's done. So let's not worry about the left side. Our attention for the next minute or two is going to be focused all that crap on the right. There's a ton of work to do over here on this right side. First among them is distribution. You guys clearly got that memo, right? So I look at it like this. I'm going to bring down the side that I'm not messing with, and I am going to bring down the -8. And just so I don't do anything stupid, I'm also going to bring down the -8x. I think it's good, healthy math to figure out what's not involved in a step and then just copy it down. Your focus is just on this red cloud. Distribution, baby. Nothing else matters. So when I take -2 and I multiply it in, what do I get?
-6.
And when I take -2 and I multiply it across to the +6, what do I get? See how we're just kind of filling it in, and now it looks like a cohesive problem again. We ready to go on? Ready to solve the equation?
No.
Nope.
I don't know.
There's terms on the right that need to go together. And again, since I've got colored pens, I didn't get to do stuff like this when I first started. I got colors and technology. I'm going to use it. I'm going to color code this for you. Look at these purple terms. They have to go together. What do you get? Perfecto. And then let's take these green terms, put them together. What do we get? Yes. Ooh, we made it. We have cleared the mess. And now we do not, this is not a discussion about we each do it different ways. There is one answer to this question. What should we do? Add the 20. You can't say, well, what about the X's? They're already together. They're in one place. So we got to get rid of that -20. We're going to add 20 to both sides. What's my next line say?
-14.
16 equals -14x. Next step. By -14. And I'm pretty sure, unless I've been doing it wrong for like decades, that 16 cannot be divided by 14.
I think you could squeeze it in.
Well, let's talk big picture. What's a positive divided by a negative? Let's get that out of the way. How about you like this answer? Let me just chuck it in here. Full send? No. And it's not because the top's bigger than the bottom. It's because I have to reduce. 16 and 14 can both be divided by 2, leaving us with a final answer of x equals negative. And that is acceptable. Dos más ejemplos. You guys feeling good so far?
Yes.
2 more examples. What's the big takeaway today? What are we learning today? Why is today here? Why is this? Right. We're walking out of this room saying, I now know I have to simplify before I solve. And if it seems like I'm saying this a lot, it's because for 28 years, I have failed to get that memo across to year after year after year of students. This is not the year. I'm going to get this. We got this. We're going to simplify before we solve. Next one. I've never what? I know I get it across to 90, 85% of my students. But one of these years, I'm going to get all 100 to simplify before they solve.
Not this year.
It's this year.
Maybe next. No, it's not.
This is the year. We got this.
Yeah. Maybe in a few years.
I think that for you guys, a half hour ago, an equation like this would have felt scary. And now you realize, I got this. I just need to clean before I solve. I can solve any equation you give me. I just need to know what it is. Like, I got to clean up the junk. So what do we do first? That's oftentimes going to be the right answer. Distribute. It is this time. The way I said that, it sounded weird. That answer is going to get you far. If you see parentheses, someone probably wants you to distribute. You're spot on. So I'm going to take the 5.
Do we drop first?
Let's drop it down. You want to drop the junk that we're not going to use? I like it. Let's bring down that -8. Let's bring down that equal sign. And what's going to distribute on the right side? Just while we're thinking of it.
Maybe.
No,
Negative.
no. -1 is going to distribute. So we are going to bring down the W because he's not attached to the parentheses.
Okay.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. The W is not part of the distribution. The negative or the minus sign is the distributor. So now, purple box, math problem. Green box, math problem. What's in the purple box? What do we get?
W.
Green box. What do we get? Gorgeous answer. You should look up there, bro. Ready to roll?
Like terms on the left.
And the right. So we're not out of the woods yet. On the left, I see 2 terms that are what we call constant terms, the ones that don't have letters with them. What do they make? You can put those in either order. Like you could have put 10W and then -3, whatever floats your boat. How about the right side? What do we see?
W and so.
Let's put these bad boys together. What do we get?
AW.
Yeah. And look, we made it. We've earned the right now to solve the equation because now it's letter number equals letter number. It's as clean and perfect as it can be, but it's time to go. What do we want to do?
8W.
Let's get rid of that 8W because he's smaller than the 10W. There we are. Isn't it interesting that we work for 2 minutes just to make a problem look like it already looked last week? Let's get rid of these 8Ws. What's the next entire line left to right going to say?
-3 plus 2W equal -9.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that I subtracted 10W right there. That's I got to keep that at 0 days without incident. That's my second boo-boo today. Subtracting 8W, you guys were ahead of me on that. Thank you. Plus 2W equals -9. Next thing. Add 3. And we're going to get 2W equal to -6. And finally,
Divide by 2.
whoo, whoo, whoo.
That would be 3.
Last one. And then I'm going to give you like just a couple problems. Maybe one problem we're going to see as a class how we do. This will be our last official example, though. I had 7 scripted, and this is the 7th. So here you go.
Distribute, want negative.
Nice job. So this negative 10x, I'm pointing at it with a purple arrow, just drop down. People often think that it's part of this. It's not. Like, it's not stuck. It's not the distributor. If it helps you, just bring it down.
So like if the negatives to the right, it's not attached to that.
Correct.
You're
You're perfect way to say that. Signs belong to whoever's to their right, not the other way around.
Can we bring down the other side too?
Sure. Yeah, you bet. Because the other side's dead, huh? It's like it's done. There's no meat on that bone at all. So our math problem is completely and totally isolated inside of this red cloud. That's it. What are we distributing again? What's that called? A negative or a -1. And what does a -1 do when it hits things? What if they're already negative? It makes them positive. It changes their signs. So when the negative hits the 9x, what do we get? And when the negative hits the +6, what do we get? Phew, almost there. They just jumped down your throat, didn't they?
And then we can.
Right. This is the part where I fail. Now, I don't know who I'm talking to yet. I'm just telling you, this is the part where I only have like an 85 or a 90% success rate. You would not believe how many people go, oh, and I'm like, I failed you. I failed you. You did not get the memo on September 3rd. Today is about simplifying before we solve. Do not even be tempted. Would it work? Yes, but it's messy and it winds up causing chaos. And we want to do things the best. But yes, Cal, it would work. Yes, yes, yes. So what are we going to do?
Like terms, right?
We're going to combine like terms. We're going to combine that and that because why? Because they're on the same side of the equal sign. And that's what we're doing today. What? Negative 19x. We made it. Now we can do it. What do you want to do?
Positive. Add 19.
Next line, left to right, all the way.
-6 equals 3 plus 1.
Love it. Next step.
Subtract 3 from
Bless you. -6 minus 3. Last step. What are we going to get? Yeah, it is what it is. It's a fraction, and it's a butt ugly fraction to boot. But it is just what it is. All right, I'm going to put one up on the... Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, we're done. How'd you do? Did you get it?
Oh, yeah.
Vamos a hacer estos problemas mañana. Again, if you need help, don't let today go to waste. There's flex tomorrow.
It's